starting to feel it right now.
And Baker had the awareness to slide down inbounds.
12,000 are going crazy inside First Energy Stadium. And wherever you are, this is starting to become very, very real that the Browns are going to go to the playoff. They're in.
Kick is up. The kick is no good. It's no good. And the Browns will beat the 49ers.
In the backfield with Watson, 1st and 10 Browns. From their own 28, Moore motioning right to left. And back is Watson to pass from his own 20. Looks and slings that up the left side of the field. Got Cooper at the 30 of the Cardinals. Weaves his way to the 20. Cooper's going to be shoved out of bounds around the 12 of Arizona by safety Jalen Thompson. Big gain through the air. Watson to Cooper to get the Browns in some ideal field position.
Happy Tuesday evening to you and the unveiling of our new intro. Welcome into episode 128 of the Barking Brown Show. I'm Jacob. That's Nick over there. Down below us, Mr. Casey Kinnaman. We are brought to you as always by our friends over at Homage Apparel. I got the classic Brownie the Elf. Check out link down in our description down below to go check out our friends over at Homage. David Njoku's Angry Runs shirt drops tomorrow. So nice. Be sure you go over there. We'll have it all up on our Twitter and everything, so you can go get a link and go check that out. So make sure you go over there and visit our friends at Homage and get yourself set up. Gentlemen, I am still buzzing. I am still buzzing from this victory, on this victory. Fine Victory Tuesday. So how are you all doing this evening?
It still feels weird, man. Like I'm riding high. I know you guys were live for the whole game. What a ride that had to be. You know what? I've been thinking about this lately, and I remember, I think it was 2 years ago when the Browns played a really similar roller coaster, but it was in Cleveland. And it was that game Lamar went out, and then he came back in. And it was like, at the end of that, we were like, well, we fought really hard, and we were right there, but the Ravens won. And it was a moral victory. No more moral victories. Real victories. I'm riding high off victory. Love victory. That's all.
My rule of thumb is being tested. Usually I give myself Tuesday and then I move on. Man, it's going to be hard to turn the page. I'm going to be honest, man. Like I might hold on for an extra day before I go into Pittsburgh. It was.
Yeah.
That game had everything. Like everything. From the start, the way that it started to end, the way that it ended, that's the gamut, man. That is like the totality of what could happen in a game happened in that game, and came out the other side a better man for it. So, I'm looking forward to see what this team can do now.
For everybody that watched that intro, please tell me what you think about it. I was under the influence of things when I made that, so we all watched it for the first time together. There needs to be some better transitions. I believe there was a lot of quiet in that video at the beginning. We're doing a little stopwatch thing in there. So rate the video out of 10, everybody.
It's exciting though. I was excited.
I like the video clips, and I thought the logo was there and it was kind of in there, but I'm not good on transitions. So as we have seen in that video, transitions are not my forte. All right, guys. Welcome into. We got Jeff and Roger and MC and Connie, all of our good friends hanging out with us tonight already. Appreciate all of you. If you're new here, welcome. Hit that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. We really greatly appreciate it. Helps us in the algorithms. And we got all kinds of great stuff going on for you guys this week as we are going to wrap this thing up, put a bow on it after this, and start to move on. I know Casey said he's going to have a little bit of trouble moving on, and I understand that because it was a wild game. Yeah, what are you talking about, Roger? Nobody's on the wrong side. We're the same side. We're on same sides. All right. Yeah, man, it's really fun going over this game. So off the tops, I want to start with a few observations from the all 22, and then obviously we'll go around. No, Casey, if you had a chance to watch it, you've seen the all 22. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I figured you have. I figured I watched it last night twice. And anyway, I did too. And I gotta say, for anybody that's never watched the all 22, keep in mind there's no sound. There's no scoreboard. There's no down and distance. There's none of that. It's just the plays. So you really do need to know what happened in the game to kind of keep up with it. But it's a lot of fun to watch it just X's and O's from the all 22. And I really enjoy that. And I'll give Nick an opportunity because Casey and I were on the post game show to talk a little bit about some of our initial thoughts. But Nick will give you that opportunity to do some of that stuff too. But I wanted to go to some of the all 22 thoughts just overall. And one thing that stood out to me, and I couldn't stop looking at it, I like what Jaron Christian gave them at left tackle this week. He gives up a sack. Yep. He gave up a sack. He wasn't perfect. But I thought he handled Jadeveon Clowney has been playing really good, right? For the Ravens, which is what he does. He plays really good in his first year in a lot of places. He did it in Cleveland and that sort of thing. And he handled Clowney pretty well. He handled Owe pretty well for the most part. Yeah, he gives up a sack. They give up 4 sacks as a team. I had some issues. Casey and I during the live stream talked about it. It felt like at the beginning of the game that Watson was looking to bail the pocket almost immediately if his first read wasn't open. I think he settled into that game, got a lot more comfortable, and kind of got past that. But I thought some of the pressure and some of the early sack numbers had a lot to do with a quarterback that was just getting antsy and trying to bail the pocket before he really needed to bail the pocket. And then he was weird, doing this thing kind of weird to me where he was just stepping up, but there was nowhere to go. And he just kind of was there. And then he went down in a couple of those cases. And that didn't happen at all in the second half. And that's why he ends up being as lights out as he was in the second half. I think he just settled in. He got hurt again. He gets hurt again and starts playing really well. I don't get it, man. Yeah. But we have a large enough sample size with him this year. 3 times he has gotten popped in games and then played better. So it's all right, whatever. You can't argue with the results of that.
There's that stat where in the first half, he's the worst quarterback in completion percentage over expected. And in the second half, he's the number 1 quarterback in completion percent over expected. So I guess you'd rather be the better quarterback in the second half, but it's such a dramatic difference. It's weird.
It's the weirdest thing. I can't get it. I don't get it necessarily. They've got to figure out how to do it at the beginning of the game, because you keep fucking around like this, the quota, and you're going to lose some of these games getting in those holes. So it's great that they keep not, but I would like us to not be down 14-0 every week. That's my preference. I don't know about you guys, but that's where I'm at. So I prefer to not to do that. But yeah, for me on the offensive side, I just wanted to do one of my quick surprise takeaways, and then I'll go to you, Casey, and you, Nick, and can give some first initial thoughts about the game. But I'm writing it up for Browns Wire. I want Jaron Christian to start at left tackle until Jed gets back. I know some people are taking it a step further and saying he starts over Jed. Absolutely not. And under no circuit, there's a reason he was available. But what I will say is I think in this system with Bill Callahan and the way they're running this offense, I really do think that he can be a serviceable left tackle until your guy goes back. And that's the first all 22 takeaway I had.
I echo that sentiment. That's a tough assignment to draw right off the rip. Clowney and Owe, and they were kind of rotating him pretty regularly. He held his own. Of course, the sack he gives up at the worst possible time.
Yeah,
but Wyatt Teller was putting in work on that play. He'd already passed his guy off and was looking to get more action, and just happened to see it and be Johnny on the spot. Because if he doesn't make that play, we're not having these happy conversations that we're having right now. So it needs to be noted. Wyatt Teller, I noticed the work. And of all of my criticisms ever of Wyatt Teller, none of them have ever been, he's lazy, he doesn't look for work. That dude is constantly looking to put people on their ass.
Yep.
So because he was looking to do that, that's what led to that. But I agree with you. If DeJuan goes, I don't want Hudson at left tackle. Give me Christian at left tackle, and let Hudson be the extra man on the field if they go big personnel. That's just the way I see it. Until Christian gives me a reason not to think it,
Yeah,
I'm happy with the work he put in on Sunday. My biggest observation from watching the All-22 is the shift in the confidence of the overall offense once they started getting Njoku the ball.
Oh, yeah.
You could just see it grow. It's because I've talked about it ad nauseum, and it's actually starting to bear to fruition. He's like the best yak guy, and he's the easiest person to get the ball to, and he gets yards after the catch. So that's like no brainer. Get that dude the ball at least 6 times a game. But it's more than that. It's the physicality that he brings, because he punches dudes in the mouth, and it's an extension of the run game in the essence of like, we're going to run through your chest. We got a guy we can just dump the ball off to, and he's a full day of work for whoever's trying to tackle him. And it's a mentality. And it's this one extra physical element that the offense can do that not many teams can match, to be honest with you. I mean, there's some good tight ends in this league. I would say he's probably the most physical tight end in the league right now. And it's good. It's taken forever. We're in year 7, but we're starting to see it be more of a focal point for the offense. They get him the ball. It moves the chains. It keeps you up with the sticks, and it juices everyone the hell up because he smacks people around when he's out there. And shout out to him winning the angry run from Kyle Brandt this week. Shirt drops tomorrow in homage. Make sure you go there and cop that. So it just, the mentality shifts when they get him the ball. That's my big takeaway.
I just want to build on your Njoku point, because even when the Browns played the Ravens the first time with DTR, Njoku was still the Browns receiving leader, target leader, and I believe catch leader. Now, that's not saying much because we know how the offense was that day, but clearly the Browns identified something about the Ravens defense and said, we need to get Njoku the ball. And I think you just saw the better quarterback, better offense version of that with David, because it seemed like the Ravens were playing a little bit more back. They were taking away the outside of the field, and they were playing a little farther back. So I really liked, from a schematic standpoint, that the Browns were like, okay, if you're going to give us this short stuff, we're just going to dink and dunk and clink and clunk down the field, 17 plays, 80 yards. We'll go another, I don't remember how, I think the other drive was 13. I'm not sure. But the point is, the Browns took a lot of plays to get down the field, but they said, okay, Baltimore, if that's what you want to do, that's what we'll take. And I love that from Stefanski. And I really think that they were able to use you, Jacob. You mentioned earlier that Watson was kind of, I feel like they had a plan that they wanted to get the Ravens defensive ends upfield and let DeShaun, because the Ravens weren't spying DeShaun. Nope. Right. And so anytime he was exactly. And they knew that. And so I think that's a huge credit to Stefanski for identifying that weakness and saying, if we can just get the defensive ends upfield and give DeShaun a little bit of room to operate, because even hobbled, the dude was still able. I mean, some of the biggest plays on the day were his scrambles. And I loved that it looked like that was part of the plan, and that they knew how to take advantage of what, because both the Ravens defense and the Browns defense are some of the higher end, groups. The Ravens are arguably the best. You can argue 1A, 1B with and throw San Francisco in there. But my point is, the Browns and Ravens beat you differently. The Browns are going to be physical, in your face. They're going to play man defense, that they're going to be right up there on you. And the Ravens are not. The Ravens want to confuse you, make you think. They're going to play a little bit back. They're going to say, okay, beat us. If we go and make you take all these plays, you're eventually going to make a mistake. And I think it's a huge credit to the Browns that they were able to, like, those two drives in the end of basically the whole third quarter, and in the first one in the fourth quarter, were the turning point to the game to me. And just consistent play after play after play, just getting a little bit of gain. And it was so much fun to watch, because they converted so many of those third downs. I think they converted 13. I'm sorry, I'm the stat. I have so many stats jumbled around in my head. If you've been following on Twitter today, I've been putting them all out there. But I think my favorite stat of all, and my number one takeaway, is that the Browns, not only did the Browns rush for the most yards, I think it's 178 rushing yards against the Ravens, but they also were the first Ravens opponent this year to outgain them on the ground. So you beat them in the trenches, you out-physicaled them, and you did what Baltimore has been consistently doing to their opponents, to them in their house, which is honestly crazy when you think about. I mean, like Jerome Ford's had some ups and downs, but this was I think of all the things, just the run game and Jerome Ford and getting the shotgun running game going.
It's the diversification of the shotgun run team.
The most effective they've been all year from shot, because you were wondering, and I think there were so many plays that I'm sorry, I know I'm rambling, but I'm just giving you kind of a jumbled reaction here. There were so many plays where I remember Watson tries to go to Tillman a couple times, and the one time he's pointing like to the outside, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, if DeShaun just hadn't been hurt, like these are kinks that you work out in the offense in weeks 3 to 6 or whatever, right? But it's like they're forced to do it now. And so it's like all of a sudden you can see things offensively starting to click a little bit. And so I love the way that the Browns took what the Ravens gave them. You know what? I don't care if DeShaun Watson's ADOT is 3 yards. If that's what makes sense to do, and that's what's going to move your offense and continue to allow you to drive, I'm fine with it. So I think overall, like number one thing I've taken away from it is just that I feel like this is where the switch flips on an offense, and you finally start to see. We talked to all early before season about this shotgun running and just how the offense could change, adapt, evolve. And you're starting to see pieces of that now that DeShaun Watson's actually consistently on the field. And last thing, because I know I'm way rambling here, but all the whole narrative that DeShaun is like doesn't want to play or is just milking this injury or whatever. I think you could see he was hobbled, you could see he was banged up, and just to go out there and complete 14 straight passes in the second half and just play through all those injuries and clearly be running not at full speed, but still able to be effective. Like I feel like he just proved all of that yesterday. And I know this is like a whole jumbled mess, but I've been waiting. I've been under the weather. I've been sick. You guys, I was listening to your post-game show on the way home yesterday, and I just had to get some of those thoughts out there. So,
yeah. So they ran. I was trying to find the stat. They ran 12 zone. They had 12 zone runs and 14 gap runs. A very, very balanced rushing attack. I'm trying to find the number, and I can't find it. But I believe with Jerome Ford had 17 for 107, and I think he had. Correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody knows this actual number. I think 13 of them were out of the gun, and he had like 70 of his rushing yards, 70 or 80 of his 107 came out of the gun. Inside zone, wide zone. They still did some of their pin pull stuff that they really like, but they actually ran more than one run type out of shotgun, and they very quickly were like, it was very clear that they had figured something out with Jerome Ford. And if you go back and watch Jerome Ford in college, his best carries at Cincinnati are out of the shotgun. In that, in a very similar offense to what they ran this Sunday with Desmond Ridder. I mean, Desmond Ridder is an athlete looking to run. Ridder doesn't have the arm strength that DeShaun Watson has. And guys, you guys have a bunch of amazing comments off to the side. I'm going to try to get to them all here if I can. Just trying to – so much going on. There's so much to talk about with this game. But being able to see them finally do not just a little bit of that stuff, but a good dose of it, go against a team that doesn't get ran on. You don't run on the Baltimore Ravens, not this year. You ran for 178 yards, 6.3 from Jerome Ford, 6.3 a carry, 4.6 from Watson. And Hunt, of course, still down at his 3.2. But Hunt has a role. Hey, Kareem, I need 3 yards. Got it. If you need 3 or 4 yards, you put Kareem in there. He'll get you 3 or 4 yards. He's not going to break off a bunch of these runs like he used to. He can still break off 7 and 8 yard runs and really punish some players. He's kind of like a bowling ball. I love it. He's gonna put. I love Hunt in his role as a pass protector and a short yardage back. I think he's phenomenal.
5 straight games, touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, he's towards the top, right? He's got like 6 rushing touchdowns. Like, I mean, it's like
5th of all running backs in rushing touchdowns. The Browns didn't sign him until week 3, and they had a bye week.
Yeah, and he didn't play a ton that first game either. Like, keep that in mind. Like, it's not like he's getting what's he got this year? I want to see, just because I'm curious. I want to see how many carries he has this year, just because. Yeah, he's only got 70. He's got 70 carries and 6 touchdowns. So, you know, it's like
almost 10% of his carries are a touchdown.
Yeah, he's somewhere around there. It's like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. This guy, like, he has a role. They do it. But yeah, I just really loved finally seeing the evolution of this offense the way we thought, and I feel a little bit more confident now that last week they truly were just trying stuff out at Arizona, which is what I was kind of hoping with some of the lack of diversity and some of the stuff. They didn't want to put that stuff on tape, and they understood that it makes me feel like, based on what I saw this week, that was in fact what was happening last week, and that they were looking to diversify the run game and things like that in this game. And listen, this is the first game that I felt like Houston DeShaun Watson was on the field. And you'll go back and you'll say, well, what about Tennessee? Tennessee was a great game. Tennessee was against a defense that was not playing very well, and there was no threat that Ryan Tannehill and that offense. Lamar Jackson went into this game as one of the front runners for the MVP. You had to battle your tail off, especially in the second half, and he was making plays with his legs. He was using his legs to set himself up. He throws that touchdown to Elijah Moore because they thought he was going to try to run it in. And they peeled off of Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore was already open, but they peeled off of Elijah Moore. It's a touchdown. The biggest play to me was that scramble to get to the 40 on that final drive. Because when you got there, you were in field goal range at that point, and you had all of this time. That second half and a little bit of the first half, because I think after he got out of the first quarter, I think he played better. There was a couple drops in there. David Njoku had one, he wants back. And you know, as he was starting to kind of figure it out. But when you get towards the end of the half and then you get in that second quarter, that was the dude that and we said this on the pregame, you know, what did I said the key to the game was DeShaun Watson being a franchise elite quarterback. He had to do that. And he did, not for the entire game. He did that in this game for the first time, to me, against a good opponent, where I really thought, there it is. That is what you trade for. And for everybody that wants to knock on Stefanski's clock management, that final drive was a masterpiece of clock management. They walked right down the field, and I mean walked right down the field, got themselves down there, had their timeout, put it in the middle of the field where Dustin Hopkins wanted it. And I don't know about you. I know he missed the extra point. I had zero doubt he's going to make that kick. I was like, he's going to make this kick. I don't give a shit. He's going to make this kick. Of course, then they had to throw a flag, and I'm like, I swear to God. You can ask Casey. I was like, oh, you mother. Like, it is. But that game, man, things feel like they're starting to click. If that team shows up week in and week out, they are contenders, and there's just no other way to put it. I watched that all 22 twice. That offense was not going to be denied in that second half. They had 3 possessions. Think about that. The offense only had 3 second half possessions. 3. Touchdown, game-winning field goal. Of course, they get the pick 6 in there as well. That was a masterpiece. Kevin Stefanski, listen, you got out-coached at home against Baltimore, and you responded by coaching your ass off. And right now, to me, Kevin Stefanski is the coach of the year, and I'll send it around, and we'll get back to that, and we'll move on to the defense. But signature win on a level that is far greater than that win against San Francisco.
I have so many things to say, and they're all in different directions. But as you're saying stuff, it's like lightning bolts, and I'm trying to grab it. So, like, was Watson elite for the entire game? No, but he was elite in the high leverage moments that they needed him to be elite in. I think that was the difference. Like, obviously the second half he did throw an incompletion, but I'm talking about when they had to have it in the fourth quarter, he was exactly what he needed to be in a one leg. When he was scrambling, you weren't thinking that. He was making a play. Now he had to limp back to the huddle.
Yeah.
You didn't see that when he was on the way to the marker, like big boy stuff. And you were talking about how they varied their shotgun run game. Their approach in general was varied. They were throwing out of jumbo and running out of shotgun.
Yeah.
Like both things that we haven't seen them do. And then they did it in the moments where they had to have it, like stones on Stefanski, to implement everything and pull it off in this game in particular. But my biggest thing I come away with on the off as the game as a whole, but specifically on the offense, surprise. Because going into this, I'm thinking, man, they got to play damn near error-free football. I mean, it's got to be a clean game if they're going to beat Baltimore.
Yep.
It wasn't clean. It was muddy as shit. Still got it done. And then I'm thinking, on the pregame, Tyler asked, do you think that the Browns running game can like kind of buoy the team, and get through this game? Hell no, I didn't. I did not believe in it. I did not believe they were going to run the ball on Baltimore. To at least even out Baltimore. They ran better than Baltimore. And that's what they do. You beat them at their game in their house.
Yep.
Did not have that on my bingo card. So surprise. I'm surprised. I'm surprised they were able to shoot themselves in the foot as many times they did, and it didn't matter because those dudes fought. And when you're as talented as this roster is and you have that kind of fight in you, that is a dangerous combination. And hats off, man, because I didn't see it going that way. I've honestly in my head, if the Browns win, I'm thinking it's like a 19-16 type of affair. Nope. They can do whatever, man. They can win those kind of games, but they can also kind of get in a little bit of a shootout. So,
yeah,
I still reserve the right to doubt certain things, but I also reserve the right to change my mind when new information presents itself. And I've seen a bunch of new information this week that leads me to believe that they have a ton up their sleeve that we haven't seen yet.
It's like, and you've been asking for it. So it's just like the idea that we're probably not even all the way there is.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. This is just starting to click. It's just starting to click. Like until today, you weren't really getting much success at all out of the run out of shotgun. And maybe they just figured out, obviously they knew what Jerome Ford was more comfortable with, right? But to see it be so successful against a defense that has been so good against the run and just against just overall, it's truly, you're down to your fourth and your fifth option at tackle, and you're still able to create these running plays against the Ravens defense that knows you're going to want to try to run. Especially, you got to think when DeShaun plays his terrible I won't call it. Well, it wasn't good. It wasn't good first half. Let's call it that. I think the Ravens come out in the second half saying to themselves, like, if we can just, stop the run. I mean, DeShaun's not going to beat us. They were probably saying that to themselves, and I wouldn't blame them, right? So to have the success that they did and to be able to move the ball like they did, and it just feels like the switch is just starting. Like this is just the tip of what the offense can be, because you got to keep in mind they've had so much. I mean, you go from DeShaun to Dorian Thompson-Robinson to PJ Walker, then you're back to DeShaun, then you're back to PJ Walker, and then you're like, well, we have DeShaun now, but it's been like a month since he played, and so it's like it's really hard to develop cohesion with that situation, and to be able to put it together and really create your best offensive half of football against the Baltimore Ravens is, and obviously I understand with the Titans, but the Ravens are as legitimate of a defense as you're going to face in the entire NFL season. So if you could do it against them with I'm not saying it's certainly not a winning formula to be down all these tackles, but if you can do it like I'm still in shock. That's just not I was at the Chargers game a couple of years ago when we missed the extra point and that came back to haunt us. And it was just one of those up and down roller coaster games, and the Browns lost that. And I can remember the Ravens game a few years ago when DeShaun leaves the game, famously, and he comes back and then he kicks our ass, and we're like, oh, they're not doing moral victories anymore. They're winning this roller coaster game. If you can win that game, you can beat any opponent left on your schedule. And that's why it's such a big deal that we're sitting here right now. And so the last thing I want to say about the offense is, in Kevin Stefanski's tenure here, they have always been good with the scripted part of the offensive game plan. And for whatever reason, they can't figure that out for anything right now. But it's like in the second half, they just flip the switch and everything's fine. So if they can just put it together and really get cooking,
kick the shit out of Pittsburgh, yeah, that'd be great.
Could DeShaun just get sacked on the first play and then be fine after? Is that what it takes? I don't know. It's weird, man. There's some weird.
We just got to spot them 14 points and then we'll be okay.
Well, okay, so let's go from 14 points to we'll spot you like a sack. How's that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Sure, and then maybe he'll be like, all right, I'm fine. I don't know. There's some weird DeShaun stuff going on, but I'd rather you be better in the second half than the first. So fine. Let's just no more pick sixes to start.
They out physicaled the Ravens from the beginning of the game.
Yes,
they were the more physical team all the way through. I've never seen a more resilient team in Cleveland. I don't know about other teams, but in talking about resiliency, I just don't know how you can hate on Kevin Stefanski right now. I don't. That team, that's not a team that doesn't believe in their coach. That's not a team that has ever not believed in their coach this year. And it's like, I just love, and MC made the comment about him chewing out the ref's ass on the sideline. That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was awesome. He is like, you can see it in the thing that I keep coming to. Did you all see Amari's video in the locker room?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
they celebrated like they beat the best team in the NFL.
They celebrated like a team that likes each other.
Yeah.
That's what they're celebrating like. A team that likes each other, a team that believes in each other, and no Nick Chubb, no Jack Conklin. Both of those guys for a majority of the season. DeShaun Watson, you had PJ Walker at quarterback for over a month. He was only 63% of his passes were even catchable as a quarterback. Yeah. Catchable. Not in a good spot, nothing. No, catchable. I believe his completion percentage on the year is like 49%. It's something like that. And yet, and that was not with Nick Chubb is the thing that I come back to about that part of the season. It wasn't like, hey, we will lean on Nick Chubb for a month because hell yeah, we can lean on Nick Chubb for a month. No, he's not out there. And yet Kevin Stefanski's team, outside of the one game they got blown out in, were in every single game and they were ready to go. And they just really royally fumbled that first one. But whatever. So that's my point. Right now, all of that, all the adversity, they were down 14 points three times in this game, including in the fourth quarter after a muffed punt. It was 31-17. And you won the damn game because you scored three more times. If you take out the muffed punt touchdown, because the refs were not going to let them not get a touchdown after that. Jesus. I'm okay with the JOK one. The JOK one, he did turn him a little bit, but I still, knick-knack, paddywhack, whatever. But
knick-knack, paddywhack.
Yeah, I was just going to say like ticky-tacky was what I meant to say, and I said knick-knack, paddywhack. So I don't really know what happened with that, so sorry. Anyway, that was on me. But for me, all that reason right now, Kevin Stefanski's coach of the year. That's my point. And then everybody just wants to make excuses for the Ravens, like the Browns. Like the national media is trying so hard because of DeShaun Watson, and I get it, but they're trying so hard to just be like, nah, man, like you can't. Okay, that's fine. We'll just keep stacking them. And we'll have that conversation. To be honest with you, I don't listen to much national stuff. I listen to some national draft podcasts because I have a problem. I did do an entire first round mock draft yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't write it up, but yeah. Anyway, So I think Stefanski's the coach of the year. We'll move to the defense. I just wanted to. Stefanski is 7-3, is mainly a rookie, and XFL quarterback. Boston wasn't on national. Yeah. And I think he's getting some respect.
To that point, it feels like
what that's just uncalled for.
Wow,
taking shots and Jeff taking a chance for a self burn right there. Those are.
I think so. I'll toss this, back to you guys. But just before we get in the defense, 'cause to your point, I feel like if the Browns beat Pittsburgh, so you get to all of a sudden, then you get to Thanksgiving, and there's all this midweek national football talk, right? If you get to Thanksgiving at 7-3, all of a sudden I feel like you are unignorable because unignorable.
Well,
Because at that point you could be tied for the best record in the best division in football. How do they ignore that at that point? You could be
tied for the best record in the AFC, but yeah,
you also that. Right. So that to me is like, I know I'm jumping. I know we're going to talk defense, but I'm just saying.
Oh no, I don't care. We can do whatever the hell we want.
I'm just saying, like I'm wondering what you guys think, because like if they get to 7-3, and you're in the only division that doesn't have a losing record in football, like how do you ignore them then? Right? Well, is that the tipping point? Is that the point at which they acknowledge us, or what?
Yeah, I think that matters because you also, if you're at 7-3, look at the next month after that. It's Denver, it's LA, it's Jacksonville, who I can't figure out because they just got absolutely shit canned by the 49ers. Just I watched I was like, I got to figure out what happened. I watched a little bit of that game and I couldn't. I was like, they were not watchable. And then you got the Bears, and then you got a really tough game in Houston. That's crazy what that game's going to be. But you could be 7-3 looking at 4 very winnable games after that, and an opportunity to get 10 or 11 wins by the middle of December. But you could be looking at the Christmas Eve game against Houston with 10 wins. I mean, not saying you'd get them all, but I'm saying you could look there at that. So, yeah, no, I don't think you can ignore them anymore at that point.
Yeah, but the people that have their heels dug in, it's not going to matter. They'll just move the goalpost. You know what I mean? So I don't concern myself with that. The people that I pay attention to, like Joe Marino and Kyle Krabs, people like that, like they have the Browns on their power ranking. You know what I mean? They're taking notice of these wins. And I mean, you just look at the body of work. You beat a San Francisco team that could very well represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. That could very well happen. You beat a Cincinnati Bengals team who's, up until last weekend, they were one of the highest rising teams in the league.
Agreed.
You just beat a Baltimore Ravens team who were at least in the top 3 in the NFL in every power ranking you've seen come out. Those are quality wins. Now you get a chance to kind of beat up on your schedule a little bit, pad them stats. Nothing, you can't apologize for it. You play who you play to handle business. If you handle business, you get to mid-December, and like you said, Jacob, you have 10, 11 wins. Try to ignore them. Good luck. You know what I mean? It's let the work speak for itself.
Because if they beat Pittsburgh, all of a sudden you get to start saying, could we see a home playoff game? Like that's the territory you put yourself in if you beat Pittsburgh, because you're right there in the division. You're knocking Pittsburgh down a peg, right? And then all you got to do is worry about Baltimore, who definitely has a harder remaining schedule than the Browns do. And you just beat. And you've split now, so they don't have the tiebreaker over you. So it's kind of all of a sudden I'm starting to like look forward, and it's like been a really long time. Like, in 2020, I thought we were going to start doing that yearly, and that, kind of imploded. But now you're like, yeah, okay. If you can just, and so it's like, and so part of me is a little nervous because it's like you beat Baltimore and you're coming off this great win, but I just feel like the home energy is going to, like, I can't imagine what the stadium's going to be like Sunday, man.
Do you want me to tell you a funny stat? Not a funny stat. So if I'm looking at the playoff probability for the New York Times, I wrote an article about this on Sunday, and things have changed.
Okay.
Things have changed because at the time, Monday Night Football obviously had not happened, and Buffalo had not lost.
Let's go, Buffalo. Oh.
Again. Currently, the Browns have a higher chance of hosting a wild card game than not making the playoffs. And overall, the model has them at an 84% chance to make the playoffs at this point. They believe there's an 8% chance that they could get the bye. They believe there's an 8% chance they could get that. There's
having a bye. Oh, my God.
23% chance that they host a wild card and a 53% chance that they're just in the wild card. So and we haven't even been able to, we're 42 minutes in talking about this. You can't even get to the defense. And I feel so bad about that shit. Like, this has happened before, where it's like, I haven't even gotten to the defense because right now, like,
it's so fun to talk about.
Yeah.
Like, these are all the things we were hoping for coming off 2020 with Baker, that we were like, yeah, it's going to be Baker versus Mahomes, and it's going to be Browns and Chiefs, and we're going to be competing. And it's like, we're all of a sudden, it's like, you can taste it a little bit.
Where's that question? It just came in. Do you think
the Sunday Night Football? Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think that the NFL wants to, ignore Watson like some of the pundits do, because the NFL just wants to make money. And if they think that's going to make them the most money and be watched, and it would be, then they'll do it. Yeah, they don't give a shit. They don't care if you're tuning in to watch Watson fail. They don't care about that. Now, the pundits may ignore you, but I do think if the NFL, because for one, think about this. They're the final Thursday night football game in week 17 against the Jets. They play on December 28th. And keep in mind, at the time, that would have been Aaron Rodgers and DeShaun Watson when the schedules were coming out, when the schedules were made. So keep in mind, if they really, really wanted to bury him, they wouldn't give you a primetime matchup against two teams that they thought would battle for playoffs at this time. And they could be, because Aaron Rodgers is apparently planning to come back during that game. And I'm like, yeah, no, sure. You have a torn Achilles, you're almost 40, and you're like, you know what I'm going to sign up for? Some Myles Garrett. That's what I'm going to sign up for.
Doing that?
I'm going to sign up for that, and we're just going to see what's happening. And it's like, come on. So lost in all of this was another defensive player of the year performance from Myles Garrett. Lost in this. And listen, one thing I absolutely love about the All-22 in the way NFL Game Pass and stuff like that, the last few years has been awful. This year, personally, my experience with NFL Plus and their All-22 is amazing. It's always out 24 hours later. It used to be, there were weeks when you couldn't get the All-22.
You didn't get it.
Yeah. Well, in most weeks it was Tuesday night, Wednesday. I almost never got to see it before we did this podcast at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Because even if it had come out, it would come out at like 7 p.m. It's like, I don't have time to, actually watch this and digest it and comment on it. But what I really love about the All-22, the way it's set up now, is, and it's always kind of been like this, but it has that zoomed out up top sideline view. But I love getting to watch each play twice. And I love getting to watch the end zone tape, because if we're on offense, on the first view, I'm watching quarterback, running back, and I'm watching the wide receivers. I'm trying to watch the play. Is anybody getting open? What's going on there? And then I get to rewatch the play and focus on just the offensive line. And vice versa. On the other side, I get to watch the linebackers and defensive backs. Yeah. Great defense, good offense. I think they can be great and great, just so we're clear. But So they did fix the soundtrack on NFL Plus, Connie. That is it used to be off and it was very bad. But yeah, I watched the defensive backfield there, and then I watched the defensive line on the end zone. Goodness gracious, man. Myles Garrett, like, I just don't get it. I don't get how he is what he is. And it's just like, he's good on almost every rep, but he's unstoppable on 5 to 10 reps every game, where it's just like, sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes you call a screen pass or a quick pass or things like that, and he has no chance to get home, and you don't necessarily notice it on the TV, but you go back and it's just like, he is now being that guy in the big moments. You know, you kept points off the board in that third quarter with back-to-back sacks. Like, you kept points off the board again, and you're pushing people. You're pushing Lamar into the laps of other people. He's continuously going out there. 1.5 sacks. It does not tell the story, but the stats still show it. He's in very, very elite company in terms of people with 6 straight seasons of double-digit sacks. Everybody on that list with him is a Hall of Famer, except for Jared Allen, who I believe is a Hall of Famer eventually. I think Jared Allen will get in. I do think he's that good in my mind. Maybe you don't think that, and that's okay. But oh my freaking goodness, man, this defense. So if you think about it, and you're going to go, well, they let up 31 points. On contraire, for one, yet again, the offense gave the other team 7, and the special teams gave the other team 7 with the muff punt. You take out those 2 plays, and 99.99, I've heard Jake Burns and Andrew Spade, everybody, 99.999% of the time, Kyle Hamilton jumps up and hits that ball. It does not go perfectly into his hands. That is still the biggest fluke bullshit play of all time. What are the odds of that? It was so unlikely that the cameraman and everybody else watching it had no clue what happened. I was like, the guy's like, touchdown? He's like, I think that's a touch. And Casey's like, it hit the ground, right? Like, he batted, like it hit the ground, right? And it's like, no, buddy, it popped right out. Hey, but we got it back. We got it back on the Greg Newsome one. But I'm just saying, when you look at that stuff, you take some of that stuff out and you go, when the defense was really playing their game, what is that, 24 points? 17, math, 14, 17. Was nobody's going to answer. Everybody's just going to let me figure that one out.
I wanted to see it. I want to see the smoke come out of your ears. See if you pulled off your shoes to carry the 2.
I'm like 24. No, that's 41. But so I should have just taken 10 off of it.
I feel like the Myles Garrett conversation is a good place to start. Casey, you looked like you had stuff to say. So
I have like 8 things to say about the defense. Sorry. No, I would just say, everything that Myles is, he's the alpha and the omega of every conversation. Mm-hmm. Even the Browns defense is going to center around him. Go to the other side. Look at Za'Darius was playing like a man that was possessed.
Homecoming.
Like I said it earlier, man, he worked Patrick McCarry like a summer job. Like, it was, I felt bad for him rewatching that. Like, and he only has 2.5 sacks on a season. He's not going to get the pub that Myles gets. And Myles is in his own category. But Za'Darius Smith is top 10 in the league in pressures. He was at it again. He was harassing Lamar. When he knifed down the line and tripped Lamar on that called quarterback run, if Lamar gets that first down, that's a game breaker. That is a back breaker, and that just eats up more clock. He tripped him up. He was relentless, chased him to the sidelines. Myles finally has people around him who put in the same kind of effort that he does. And that's it shows on the film. But let's just talk about one thing. So Ogbo can't get to Lamar, and he knows he can't. So what does he do? He disrupts the passing lane. He gets up, ball creams right off of him, pops up in the air, and Genu catches that at full speed, running straight towards the end zone. For a dude who's been chasing an interception for 3 years, for that to happen, for that ball to come to him at that moment in this game, and for him to take that shit to the house.
Yeah.
Man, that's game, set, match. That's like, I felt so good for him in that moment.
Mind.
Good for him, man.
Dude, great. And to see, and I know him and Emerson have a healthy competition going. If there's a shot from the end zone, I actually use it for my defensive grades for Dog Pound Daily. You can see Emerson's face just lit up, like watching Genu as he strut across the back of the end zone. It's like, man, and you see that these dudes play for each other. They're excited for each other. They get excited for each other's successes, and it just builds, and it's palpable, man. You can see it. Like, and when by the time that fourth quarter came along, there was nothing Baltimore could do. What were they going to do? Like, there was a buzzsaw. Word up. It was a buzzsaw. And when this defense gets rolling, man, and without Denzel, and and we could talk about that later if you want, about the hit that Ronnie Stanley laid on him, because on the all-22, there's no defense for it. No defense for it. None. And like, I'm like you, I like Ronnie Stanley as a player. That was dirty, man. That was dirty. Something should happen on that.
I'm just glad Denzel avoided a concussion. That was my biggest fear, because like he's had a bunch of them already, and
I don't know how he dodged it. I mean, he got hit right in the temple.
Yeah, by a 300+ man that headhunted him with a running start, and he was just standing there. Like, I'm with you, Casey. I'm not that guy. I don't like to call people dirty, because most of the time you can't tell intent with those things from where we are. But there is no angle and no twist you can put on that makes me think that it was not a dirty hit.
You know what? Sometimes you need – I think any winning team needs some luck on their side. And it's funny. It just feels like the ball's bouncing the Browns' way a little bit more this year, right? Like I don't know the exact stat, but the opposing kickers were some insanely good, high, unbelievable rate.
I had like 2 misses all year last year against the Browns. Like, kickers never missed against the Browns.
And finally, the Browns are getting their hands on a couple kicks that obviously Moody missed with San Francisco. You know what? And it's like the ball bounces off the helmet in San Francisco, but the Browns have now been paid back twice, right? Because the ball bounced off, I can't remember whose helmet, and Amari caught it in the end zone. And then the ball bounced off Obo Okoronkwo's helmet. I don't know.
And helmet. I don't know what it was. Yeah. And that was Greg Newsom's.
It definitely hit his helmet too. Like, if you see that, but so good. They're getting paid back a little bit. And now Denzel's not concussed. That's great. I think. I mean, obviously they've been dealing with some injuries, but it's like that defense. So I think Kevin's going to talk tomorrow more in depth about, what's going on with Juan Thornhill. How is Denzel? It seems like Denzel is going to be minor. We'll see with Juan, but overall, it's like the defense is the strength of your team, and it seems like they've been able to stay, pretty intact. So it's like really nice to just see them being a little bit more fortunate this year rather than where they've been.
And it started the year, we couldn't get a ball to bounce our way. We couldn't get an interception. We couldn't get a fumble. Couldn't get any of that stuff. And now they're getting the turnovers. The turnovers are started. And once they started.
I know. Which
I got to give someone some credit. Because I said that if he played, we would be screwed. And that is the other Ford. And that's Mike Ford. Mike Ford played his ass off.
What are 2 plays? The knocking the hell out of Lamar and then picking him off the next play. What a sequence that was. I barely believed it happened.
Well, and if you watch the all-22 on that, and that's my thing. I don't particularly just like like, and I know that Tim's talking about, but like the OBR does such great stuff with the all 22. But I always watch the all 22 before I get here so I can just confirm things. Mike Ford was a dude on Sunday. Like, he was a dude, like, and it was like, I said it on here, and he wasn't just playing in the slot. He was playing wide because they were put in that position at times where Newsome was in the slot and he was outside. And then sometimes, he was in the slot and that kind of thing. And what's up, Jared? We appreciate you being here, brother. But like Mike Ford, like, I believe, let me pull this back up so I don't misspeak. Mike Ford was your second highest graded player according to PFF, and behind only Greg Newsome, just so we're clear. Some numbers for Ford. Let's see here. He allowed 2 catches for 47 yards. One of them was 40. He had that one bad touchdown that was on him, but he had the interception. He had some hits, and I don't know. It's like, when you find a way, and a lot of people have been singing the praises of Jim Schwartz, and I absolutely agree with that. But a good team, well-coached, well-prepared teams roll with injuries. You have to. It's going to happen. Yeah. You lost Denzel. Denzel played, I think, 9 snaps. Is that right? Yeah, 9 snaps in this game. So he doesn't play most of this game. Juan Thornhill, he played 30, so he played longer than that. But he goes out. You actually had DeAnthony Bell take 4 snaps as a result. Those sorts of things. And it was just like, they were all prepared. Every single one of them on defense understood the assignment, understood the game plan, understood how to execute it. Is there fall off? Yes. But if I didn't tell you, if I took all the numbers off jerseys and you watch that game, I bet you don't think Mike Ford's playing in that game because of the way he played. If you don't know that's Mike Ford, you're probably just like, yeah, it's Emerson and Denzel. And I'm not saying he's as good as Denzel. By no means am I saying that. I'm just saying in this game, they all did their job. The guys that had to make plays did their job, and they were all ready for it.
Even with the jersey numbers, it took me a second to like come to grips. That's Mike Ford on the outside right now. Mm-hmm. And we talk about it with Schwartz a lot. Like, he plays a style where he's going to let you know what we're doing and we're better than you, and stop it if you can. It's pretty brazen and it's his approach. But he pivoted in this game when he lost Denzel. He started shuffling things around, and Newsome got a lot of reps on the outside. He looked damn good doing it. I think that needs to be recognized, because I believe Newsome is the best slot corner in the league, but he's also a starting outside corner if you need him to be. You know what I mean? And he allowed 1 catch for 11 yards. Like, straight up dog, man. Like,
yes, 1 catch, 11 yards. And keep in mind, you want to know his yards after catch? It was 1.
That's such a nice piece to this too. It's like there's so much depth in the corner room. It's like, I don't know what's going to happen with Newsome beyond his first contract. I hope the Browns find a way to extend him. But it's just such a luxury they're living in right now, where you just say, like, okay, Denzel Ward's out, but we still got Greg Newsome and Martin Emerson, and to see Mike Ford make those plays is just, it just feels like the Browns are just this factory of depth and answers. When, like, I don't know how much Rodney McLeod played. I haven't gotten to watch the all 22, but like, I would feel okay. Like, if Juan Thornhill goes out and Rodney McLeod has to play, like, I don't feel terrible about that either. And I just want to say, both you guys touched on Myles Garrett. I don't know that I've ever seen him sack somebody in back-to-back plays like that. That was like, I was so frustrated for him after that punt got muffed, because I was like, Myles Garrett literally, not only did he sack him twice, but he knocked him out of field goal range, right? And stops the drive. Like, that was such a key, and for them to battle through that, like, just this, I think it's like, that game is kind of an example of what the Browns season has been. Just like, as a whole, they just keep having these obstacles to overcome, whether it's DeShaun being out or losing their tackles or losing their best player on offense or whatever. And they found a way. They just keep finding a way. They've won double. Like I made this point the other day or yesterday. The Buffalo Bills are now a 500 football team who just fired their offensive coordinator. They've had Josh Allen for the entire year. And on the opposite end of that, the Cleveland Browns are 6-3, and I would argue have played just as good of opponents and have had this carousel of guys coming in and out. And I know Buffalo's had their injuries, but my point is, like, the quarterback's the most important player on the field. And it just speaks to me personally, just that the Browns are made of something different. Wow.
Can I get a trivia question? How many Browns right now lead the league in a statistical category that is important to their position? So keep that in mind. Like, I'm not asking you, like, if a tight end has a bunch of running touchdowns. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How many and who?
Well, D-Hop leads the league in made field goals. That's one.
What a trade.
He does 24 made field
By the
goals.
way.
Uh-huh. Let me think here.
Will Nick Harris get a carry of football? God,
it's coming. It's coming.
I want it. I need it.
It's coming.
God, I love D-Hop. I do. 3-Hop. We want to call him 3-Hop.
3-Hop. Okay.
That's what we're trying to do.
Okay, so I know DeShaun leads the league in second half completion over expected.
I'm not doing something like that.
No? Okay.
I'm embarrassed for you, Nicholas. Myles Garrett leads the league in sacks, dude.
Oh, I know that.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I guess.
Well, then why didn't you say it?
I don't know. That's a good point. I said
Myles
it yesterday.
Garrett,
I forgot now.
Those are your two.
Okay.
Myles Garrett leads the league in sacks. The 3-Hop leads the league in made field goals.
I do think he's going to win Defensive Player of the Year, to your question. I think the Browns are finally good enough where he gets the recognition. Whether they want to talk about us or not, the record speaks for itself. And I feel like that will be the tipping point where the voters say, and now it's like he legitimately leads. I mean, I know he's tied for the league lead in sacks, but I expect him to do some eating of Mr. Kenny Pickett. I expect it.
Can we talk about it?
Yeah,
let's do a brief look ahead here.
Okay, we'll look ahead.
Before we even get to that, there's a Thursday night game, gentlemen.
Oh.
And
one that I'll finally watch. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's one that, like, dude, I swear to God, I thought we were going to kill Al Michaels with piss poor football. Maybe this will be the one.
I couldn't believe. I don't know how he got through all that.
I don't know either, but we're here now. But teams the week after they play the Browns are 3-5.
Ooh, spicy stat.
That, and it's not by coincidence. And if it wasn't for a last second win for Arizona, that's way more bleak. But we know what kind of physical game was played on Sunday, and Baltimore's got to play Cincinnati on a short week. You know they're banged up because we're the ones that did it to them. I'm favoring Cincinnati in that.
Interesting. Okay.
I am.
I like Cincinnati in that too.
I am. And then I'm favoring us to kick the shit out of Pittsburgh. Like,
yeah.
We'll talk about the reasons why in a second. But if those two things happen, you know what that means.
Tied for first.
You share first, right? Yeah. Yeah. Share. Oh my God. It's never happened. Like there's so many things that have never happened that, like, if the Browns continue to win, winning the AFC North, potentially hosting a playoff game. First Energy Stadium's never seen that.
Cleveland Browns Stadium.
Cleveland Browns Stadium.
Those dirty First Energy bastards.
These bastards.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on in Cincinnati, man. I haven't gotten to watch what CJ Stroud did to them, but they got to, I mean, for Cincinnati's the two-time AFC North champion in a row, and they are alone at the bottom. And I know it's just by a game. I get that. But, I mean, they looked as hot as they could be. And then the Texans come into their house and CJ Stroud just tunes them up. What? I mean, so, but you guys like Cincinnati against Baltimore?
I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the Baltimore just played us.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
Mike, drop. Suck it, Pittsburgh. That's all I have to say.
Lamar, you know what? I saw stats about Lamar has almost as many turnovers as touchdowns. Is that accurate?
I know he leads the league in fumbles.
Wow. I don't know, man. You know what? I wanted to bring this up. Lamar ran for 40 yards against the Browns, and I don't know that I've ever felt like I've seen a quieter 40 yards rushing from a quarterback in my life. Like, I'm so used to that guy just running around and making this magic happen.
Yeah.
Like, you remember the time he threw 4 interceptions against the Browns, and then he just like danced in the backfield and threw like unbelievable Mark Andrews touchdown passes in the back of the end zone and just like made magic happen. Like, and the Browns are just not having that. Yes, I just, it's so weird. Like, there's so many times where that final rushing play where, like you were saying, Casey, Za'Darius trips him up and Miles finishes him off. There's so many times where Lamar just gets that first down and they just cruise their way to victory. And it's just like, it's so weird just seeing the Browns chase that guy down and stopping it. Like, it's a whole new world.
Well, Nick, you had an amazing tweet that actually got brought up on Sports for CLE today, and it was the fourth quarter comparison between Lamar and DeShaun. And Lamar was 1 of 5, and DeShaun was 8 of 8. And just to think, one of those two was the front leading candidate for MVP,
and the other one's
and it wasn't the guy that went 8 for 8. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm just having so much fun with tearing down all of these but one of my favorite things, when the Browns played the 49ers, they had the best record in the NFC. I understand it was only through 4 weeks, but they were 4-0. When the Browns played the Ravens, they were tied for the best record in the AFC, right? And so it's like you're just taking these teams that are getting all the love and just tearing them right down. And I'm enjoying every second of it. Also, Lamar threw a pick in the fourth quarter, and DeShaun threw a touchdown.
One's up for MVP and one's not.
One completion. That is bizarre. This game. I'm gonna watch it back and be like, what? I don't even. It's.
Well, shout out to Mikey P from Yard Dogs, because he made a good point on the post game. He theorized that maybe Dustin Hopkins missing that extra point was a good thing because it changed the offensive philosophy of the Ravens, and they weren't aggressive. They went into just like grind it out mode, and they didn't take any chances, and we force a punt, and you know the rest. Mm-hmm. And that's true. Them having that 1 point lead might have caused them to play differently.
You're right.
The way things worked out. Now, we're not going to miss extra points on purpose, but it just kind of unfolded that way, and it put all the momentum right in our hands.
So you talked about Pittsburgh, and I wanted to bring this up. I feel like this is a game where the Browns will have Nick Chubb on their minds. Obviously he made the new. He had his second ACL he had his ACL repaired today. So you saw the Instagram post. Everybody posted his Instagram post, which is awesome. If you like Batman, Nick Chubb's for you. And it's just like he's on his way back. I think the team's going to have him wear him on his sleeve, and I really, yeah.
Hell yeah, Roger.
Roger, you happy? I just really feel like, you know what? I just have it in my brain that the Browns are going to blow Pittsburgh out. I'm just going to say it here and now. And when we wake up on game day, I'm going to say that the Browns are going to expose them as the frauds they are. They've been outgained in every game. I'm not hearing it. I don't care. They pull their opponents down in the mud, and the Browns are at home coming off of a Ravens win. The crowd's going to be loud and not having any of their bullshit. And I think they're going to take it to stupid Kenny Pickett and their non-existent passing game, and they're going to blow them out. That's what I think they're going to do. So, oh baby, if they do, oh baby, I'm not having it. The stupid Steelers, they have won their last 2 games on a game-ending interception in the end zone that easily could have gone the other way. right? But it doesn't against the Titans and now the Packers. I can't do it anymore with stupid Steelers and 6-3. All kudos and credit to them for finding a way to win despite anemic. Your first round pick's a bust. You got to start over. You have too many wins to draft a good quarterback. Good luck to you. I'm going to enjoy that, by the way, because they're going to cling to that dude for dear life. I don't know what their answers are there, but I think the Browns are going to expose them, and there would be nothing more delicious.
That is the best place to end this. So, suck my ass, Pittsburgh.
Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
That was my final thought.
Look, man, you said if they haven't outgained a single team this year, they have a negative 26-point differential on the season, and they're 6-3. They're fucking cockroaches. Stomp them out. Stomp them out. That's it. You don't give them hope. You don't give them anything. You set the tone from jump. They don't belong on the field with you, and you prove it. Nick, you're right. Blow them the hell out. That's the answer. That's how you stop that last fluke shit that happens to them at the end of all these games.
Tired of it.
Don't even make it a game, dude. They don't belong on the field with you.
They don't belong on the field with you. This has been episode 128. Hell of a victory. Barking Browns show. Nick, he's Jacob. That's Casey. Go Browns.
Happy National Pickle Day.
Suck my ass.